Hi, everybody. It's Captain Canadad, and we are here today with, and I've said this before, but this is true, the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Craig Rotheram. Craig, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Attaboy. Now, just for everybody to know, when I moved to England in 1977, Craig was one of the first people that I met, and he was at St. Catherine's School, and we were 10 years old. That's 43 years ago, Craig.
It seems longer looking at us both.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself, buddy, but
yeah. I mean, my endearing memory of you, and it's as if it's yesterday, is when you brought in that bloody remote control Star Wars. What was it called?
R2D2.
Yeah, I never can remember it. Acronyms, they're useless. But for people like us in that small town in the north of England, we're only used to getting coal as presents and playing with coal, to actually see
you got coal.
Yeah, this thing that moved,
Yeah.
Was it properly remote control, or was it on a wire?
No, it was proper remote. Yeah. It was only forward and then turning backwards and forward and then turning back.
Yeah. But I mean, that was what's the word? I mean, that
magical
devil's work. That we never seen things like that, and it was just so, remote control things, especially to us poorer people that didn't actually have much. It was absolutely unbelievable to see some of that, and I always remember you bringing that in. And
I'm surprised I made it out with it.
And well, I don't know if you remember, at Christmas we were allowed to bring in toys to play.
Yeah.
And I brought one in, and it got stolen. And I know the person who stole it.
What was it?
It was what's its name? Were the punching
Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you have the red and blue robots, and how they smuggled that out to school, I don't know. But I do know the person who actually stole it.
It's not a small toy.
No.
And I can say that because...
No way.
Yeah, wait.
Oh, flipping heck. That's a northern term, by the way. Oh, God almighty. It's not a small thing either, is it?
Red Rocker and the Blue Bomber.
Yeah. Because we only used to get one main toy. And that was, for that Christmas, that was my main toy. And I was gutted, And the thing is, that was it when it came to remote control in England.
Yeah.
Then you brought this space age thing. It was actually like Star Wars, but I mean, we couldn't afford to go to the cinema, so I think I was well into my 20s.
I just threw a bit of sand down and stood behind it going.
But yeah, it was just absolutely fantastic. But I mean, I loved being at St. Catherine's, and it was just so many happy memories for me. The Christmas parties we used to have, and making Christmas decorations as a kid, and it's like, and I always used to love that crafty stuff, and that I think that's where, and I love painting. I think that's where the idea of doing something like that for the rest of my life, which I ended up fully enough doing.
Yeah, well, it leads into it in our future life, right?
Yeah. And we just touched on before about when you moved over and you moved in with your cousin, Lorna. And I remember Lorna turning up. She looked like some princess with beautiful blonde hair, kind of thing, But that's as far as it went. She had a lot of people had crushes on her, kind of thing. But I don't think I did, because me and another lad were too interested in the professionals, playing professionals. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the TV show. Yeah.
Making handguns.
Yeah.
Sneak up to the girls' playground.
Yeah. There was the back alley down the side of the school.
Where the toilets were,
Yeah.
And the dinner ladies always used to catch us.
Yeah.
Stephen Kendall, that was it. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember the name.
Yeah, Stephen Kendall. Me and him were quite good friends, kind of thing, at school. and we
Wow.
were avid watchers of the professionals kind of thing. So,
Are you still in touch with people from St. Catharines?
yeah, I mean, my best friend growing up, Glenn Alexander.
Oh yeah, Glenn Hitty.
Yeah, and God, Sue Yates.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
Sue Hart. There's Sue Hart. I can't remember. But yeah, I'm sort of there's quite a few, and but I bumped because I was away for so many years. I went away working, living in London for 25 years. You sort of forget about the people, and faces and names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially with that memory like me, it's like a sieve.
Yeah.
Nothing stays in there, kind of thing. But yeah, lots. Yeah, I mean, I just loved it. I loved growing up there. When people talk about council estates, I was brought up in a council estate. The perception is poverty and deprivation stuff. We didn't have much, but we were happy. The vast majority of us, and it was a lovely estate to be brought in. And my dad still lives there, and my sister lives there.
Wow.
Kind of thing. And I'm actually now the ward councillor for that estate now. So.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, for the people in Canada, a council estate is basically the council, the local government, owns a certain amount of houses, and they rent them out cheaper to the people that reside in them, because they can't afford necessarily to have a place. But some of those council houses, they were good houses, man. They were big.
The thing is, these were built over 120 odd years ago.
Yeah.
And this was a time when they actually built lots of really good quality houses, and that's reflected in the price of these council houses now. A lot of people, like my parents, bought the council houses when Margaret Thatcher changed the law where you could actually then buy your council house. Unfortunately, what she didn't do is allow the councils to invest that money into actually paying for more council housing. So we've got a major issue with social housing in this country.
Is that right?
Yeah, massive deficit of housing, around the country, because that people used to buy the houses, but then you got them selling them, and there was people out there with deep pockets, and they would buy them and then rent them out. So you'd actually then get market forces of rent, because rent in most cases is more expensive than paying a mortgage in this country.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, 2-bedroom house, let's say on Crown Lane, near where I used to live.
Yeah.
Just through your basic knowledge, roughly, what would one of them cost a month? Because you guys pay rent by the week there, don't you?
Yeah. I think back in the day, because it was actually council social housing, and like you said, you paid your rent to the council back in the day. A house to rent now, you're probably looking at about, on Crown Lane, one of those houses in Crown Lane, say 2-3 bedroom, anything between £500 and £700 a month.
Really?
Yeah, your mortgage would be probably about £400.
See, over here now, this is bizarre, because England is vastly overpopulated.
The thing is, that's a misconception.
Well,
it's not. Do you know, if they did land registry did a thing where what the problem is a lot of it is privately owned, so you can't build on it.
But yeah, okay, so let me rephrase what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's overpopulated in centralized areas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you can still go for a drive for an hour in the country.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Over there, and not see anything but cows and sheep, maybe cows. I never saw cows, but sheep and grass, right?
Yeah.
But over here, we have less people in Canada than you do in all of England, all of Canada.
What is the population of Canada now?
Well, it's at least me. I don't remember the rest. I don't know them, but I have no idea. We can look it up. I'll check it. Yeah. But here in Canada, for a 2-bedroom house, And we're talking now when I'm saying this, because you lived over in the States. So
well, I didn't live there. I worked there, so I used to fly, I'd stay in hotels and come back.
Oh, did you really? You stayed in hotels your whole time here?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Weeks on end sometimes, depending what job I was working on.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, over here, the houses have basements or cellars, as they
yeah.
call them over there, right? What people are doing now is they're taking a two-bedroom house and they're renting the top part, and then they're turning the cellar or the basement into a separate apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're charging, excuse me, in excess of $1,800 for the top part, and then they rent the basement out for $15. So you're getting over $3,000 for a two-bedroom house over here. $3,000 is the equivalent of £1,500.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a lot of money.
It's the thing is the problem is the government, whether or not over here, whichever government's in charge, have been in the back pockets of developers, house builders.
Oh yeah.
So they'll only, and there's a thing called what we call land banking in this country, where a developer buys some land and sits on it, not for a couple of years, for decades, because that's how they plan because then there's another thing called what's called brownfield sites, where if there's a factory or whatever, and that will be designated as brownfield site. So
I just got to clarify. You're saying brownfield?
Brownfield, yeah, brownfield, yeah.
Okay.
So it's where a factory might have been, and so we're trying to actually use all those sites up before pushing out into any green space. But the thing is, all these developers have bought these, but even when they do start house building, you do it really slowly, because it's supply and demand.
Of course, yeah.
I don't know if anyone you've spoken to, but I don't know if you know. Horwich has got the largest house building development in the whole of Greater Manchester.
I have. I've seen stuff on your Facebook that talks about that, and we'll get into that later on in the chat. But I wanted to move on from St. Catherine's. Oh, one memory from St. Catherine's. We used to go across to the church, and the song that stayed in my mind is "When a Night One Is Spurs."
Oh, remember that.
Oh, I'd give you a rendition of it, but I don't want to have you vomited on screen.
I just remember Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
But I've never, even as a child, I was put off by religion because used to, what was it, the Sunday club or whatever.
Sunday school.
Sunday school.
Sunday
club. Yeah. Well, that's probably what I thought it was. But the thing is you couldn't play on the football team for that unless you went to Sunday school. And even at a very young age, I thought to myself, religion is using blackmail, and isn't that a sin, kind of thing. And it put me off football forever. And I've no interest in football. Can't stand it.
That's funny. And
I've got issues with religion as well. I'm an agnostic. I'm not an atheist, but But yeah, it was St. Catherine's Church is still a lovely church.
Yeah, it's a beautiful old building.
Yeah.
And they always say in interviews to avoid politics and religion. We've covered both of those in the first 5 minutes. So who knows where we're going next?
Yeah. Hey, with me, it could be anywhere. Just hold on. It's going to be right.
If you've got a hat at home, folks, and you're wearing it right now, grab a hold of it with both hands.
Yeah.
You're going to need it.
My brain just shoots off in all kinds of tangents, and it always has been.
Yeah, it does.
I can have multiple conversations in the head, at the same time, and talking, and I feel sorry for people trying to keep up with me.
This is something that I should have been notified about before I agreed. So from St. Catherine's, and thank you for bringing back the memory with the R2-D2. That was sent over from my dad, by the way, from Canada. There was a bit of I think there was, my parents got separated and divorced. My mom decided she wanted separate bedrooms, so she moved us over to England from Canada, and my dad stayed there. So I think there was a bit of a battle, look what I can do for you kind of thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
But, That being said, my dad was a great guy, and I don't think he had a bad bone in his body. So
Yeah. Do you know that's the first time I didn't realise that the reason you came over was because your parents separated.
yeah,
It
why
was,
did you think we came over?
I don't know.
Oh.
I just thought your dad maybe work or something like that because I didn't even know. Was your mum English and your dad was Canadian?
No, they were both English. My dad was from Salford. My mom's from Whitefield.
Right. Okay.
I came
Yeah.
back. I came to England for the ambiance, Craig. Harwich's
Yeah.
ambiance is world renowned.
Yeah.
Back
I
then,
never knew that. Yeah.
back then we didn't have the internet. We had to rely on the library. And if you go to the library in where was I then? Brampton. It's a place called Brampton. You go to Brampton Public Library and you look up great places to live. There's only one page and it says Harwich.
Yeah. Do you know the thing is when I first met you and being at school, I always thought you were really posh, and I don't know if that was because you were a Canadian or you had that Star Wars thing. I don't know. It's probably both, to be honest. You know,
All
but I
posh
think it
people
was.
have robots.
Yeah,
That's
but I just thought, your dad was. I don't know that he was. The fact that he came over here to work meant he must have been. But I didn't realise he hadn't come over. It was just you and your mum.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
my mom, myself, my mom, and my brother Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah, none
I
of
didn't know
which
you had a brother.
well, you wouldn't think I did. We don't talk. It's one of those family things,
Yeah.
It happens. But anyway, so we spent a year and a half at St. Catherine's from 77 to 70, the end of 78.
No, 79.
79, was it? And
Yeah.
then we went up to Rivington and Blackrod, the infamous Rivington and Blackrod. Now, David Hobson was on, and we talked a little bit about the, it's kind of like a petri dish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rivington and Blackrod. It was an interesting place. We were talking off camera about some of the teachers that were there, and I don't think I'm speaking out of line by this. It's a good memory in a way. It's not bashing the guy, but for example, our first the classes were done by the first class started. It was first year.
Yeah.
FIRSTYEAR, and the first group of kids were 1F, and the second one were 1I. I was 1R. Do you remember what you were?
It was I think it was either 1B or 1P, and then it rotated round throughout the whole
1B or
year.
P?
P. P
How
for
did they
Peter.
get them? That's not even involved.
I don't know. It was 1B and 1P.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because my second year was 2C, and then it was 3I, 4U, and 5V, or whatever it was.
I think it was 1B, 2P, 3B, 4P, 5B.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so just each year it was swapped over for each one of those.
Interesting.
I'm sure it was 1B the first year kind of thing. So
Right
we
on.
were at the, it was Albert Street Annex of
That's right.
Barrett High School.
So you
next door to the
Bowling Green.
no, there was the factory next door. Leather works. We used to do leather bleaching. And
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the smells, with bleaching, because they used to use urine and all that to soften the leather and stuff like that.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Ugh. But I know that, my class, the first three classes, so 1F, 1I, 1R, they went up to the big school.
Yeah.
For the second year. That was horrific. It was terrifying. But the first year, we had teachers there, legends. Mr. Morris was the woodwork teacher.
Oh,
I built a towel holder with him, and it was awesome, actually. It was really cool. But he used to keep a running shoe, a plimsoll, in his cupboard.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
You remember that? The black plimsoll he had.
Yeah.
And he used to bring this thing out when people weren't behaving, and he'd walk up to you like, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Corporal punishment was still living and breathing for the first couple of years of ours.
Yeah.
The teachers
we
were
had
still used to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was people talk about back in my day. Well, parents, if you were misbehaving, it didn't matter whose kid you were, they'd give you a backhander.
Oh yeah, your neighbours, yeah.
They really did. They
Oh,
really
yeah.
did. I remember living on Penn Street in Harwich, and one day I was out doing something. I was playing in the rain, and Paul Bromelo and Glenn Bromelo's mom came out and yelled at me in the street because I was out in the street and I was going to catch my death a cold, she would say. And I'd never heard this expression before. And I was like, what? But she was not a woman that you wanted to argue with, because she would have given me a backhander if I'd have said anything. And then she would have got her two kids to beat me up.
Yeah. The thing is this is, you know, we've become too PC, and, you know, it's more about communities used to look after each other kind of thing. And I'm trying to bring that back to some extent with what I'm actually doing as a counsellor. But yeah, I mean, when we were at Rinton Blackroad, some of the things I was talking about, some of the things we were doing and we got up to, and they're just my experiences. God no, you know, everyone else's experiences at different times. You know, I mean, teachers were, you know, you either had a good teacher, a really bad teacher who didn't care, or a strict teacher, you know, kind of thing. And some of the strict teachers were fair-minded, as we were talking. Mr. Walmsley was the geography teacher, and he was a very strict but fair-minded teacher.
I must have had him, but I don't. I remember the name.
Yeah, he used to be a PE teacher, and I think he passed away quite recently, from what I understand. But he used to tell us a story where there was someone in the 70s, you know, said to him, right, I can't do anything to you now, but you come back when you're 18. Anyway, this lad came back when he was 18. Mr. Walmsley floored him. You know? But he used to be the old sports master as well.
Did he?
So, yeah. A lot of them, Mr. Richmond used to be a sports master.
Speaking of Mr. Richmond.
When they get a bit too old for running round after us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They then suddenly realise that they can be science teachers or geography teachers, you know.
Well,
kind of thing.
Mr. Richmond, okay, just for the record, Mr. Richmond was an incredible teacher. Yeah. If I had a dime for everyone that I knew back then that had him as a teacher, that said how much of an impact they had, or he had, on their life, a positive impact, I would be a wealthy man. This guy was absolutely a legend in the positive sense, not because he was nuts, but because he was an amazing human being, not just a teacher, but he really gave a damn. He was my computer teacher. I had him for computers.
God, he did everything, didn't he? Maths, computers.
He was an assistant headmaster.
No, I think he was. No, he's the head of year for one of the years.
Was he? I remember him as assistant headmaster, but I remember his office was outside of our geography room.
Yeah. Mrs. Sharples was the deputy head. Mr. Mills was the head. He was the head of year, one of the head of years.
Well, he was the head of our year, and he was awesome, just amazing, just a great guy. But he was my first computer teacher.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, computers. Yeah, flipping out. That'd be the perfect subject for me, being dyslexic. All those, it's like,
all the buttons and keys.
Can barely read. Never mind read computer language.
Well, don't be sorry. Come on.
Yeah, there was a lot happened. I was saying to you when I was in the first year, there was two lads in my year who bullied me, and then within the end of the first year and the second year, I grew about a foot and a bit. I was mentioning I suffered terrible growing pains, and one of my brothers said to me, "You've got to sort them out." And I said, "How?" And he told me. So one day I went into school and collared the first one in morning break and gave him a good battering. Then collared the second one, who ran round the woodwork classroom outside, and I collared him and gave him a good battering. And he never looked at me again, and we were in the same form, kind of thing. And it's sort of, you know, and from that day, I've always hated bullies. You know, if I've ever seen anyone doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But like you, I was never a fighter, so I was quite surprised by myself, kind of thing. But you know, being of strong Scottish stock, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
And if there was a
I think
sheep,
that helped. Yeah,
if there was a sheep in the room, look out. But
I know. No, that's us lot.
I know
Liverpudlians call us woolly-backs.
woolly-backs, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because there's loads of sheep over the West Pennine moors.
There is. We used to. I remember. You remember Steve Taylor?
Yeah, yeah.
We used to go walking up Rivington all the time. He had a dog back then, a big white Alsatian German Shepherd kind of
Oh
thing.
God, yeah, yeah.
Sandy was its name.
We used to think that because it was white, it used to do white poos. And the thing is, it did. And then eventually you realise the reason it did white poos was because they used to feed it bones, white bones, uncut white bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember that did white poos.
Well, that's where you get brown eggs from, brown chickens, right?
I know.
Anyway, his stepdad owned a fishing tackle shop on Chorley Road.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Is it still there or is it gone?
Do you know, it's really sad. Until about 2 years ago,
yeah,
it was still there, but now it's been turned into a newsagent. So it was there, God, probably 60, 70 years, maybe longer.
Yeah.
It's always been a fishing shop. That's where we used to go get our maggots.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Not that I ever caught anything. I was rubbish,
No.
mate. Never caught a fish.
I love fishing still to this day. I love it.
I lost my rod to a pike.
Did you really?
Yeah, in a canal in Wigan. Yeah. Someone took me shopping, a neighbour fishing. And I was still at primary school, so I had the day off. And we left about 4 o'clock. We were at this canal, and I got a pike. Anyway, next thing, for me rod went in with it. So. Yeah.
Did you ever while you were over here, did you ever go fishing?
No. The thing is, I was prisoner based in, our head office was in Boston, but my team was in New York. And I tended to, it was such a shame because it was one of those jobs where you'd fly over and it was like, great, you know, and you'd fly all over the States, you know, Salt Lake City, Miami, you name it, I've been to. In the States, and literally I'd fly in, go for a meeting, and fly out.
Wow.
You know, and get back to New York or Boston or whatever, and I'd be that tired, I'd just sleep, kind of thing. Because they used to get the money's worth, that company I worked for.
Yeah.
It was like the largest digital design and advertising agency in the world at the time. But yeah, it was no fishing kind of thing.
No.
So.
I hear there's no fishing in Boston anyway.
No.
No water around there.
Well, they've got a big flipping harbour.
I'm being sarcastic, buddy.
No, I used to. Do you know in my email to Mr. Richmond? When I was there, I sent an email to Mr. Richmond when I was working in the States, and just to thank him because at the time, during that time, there was this advert in the UK which was thanking teachers. It was an advertisement to get people to become teachers. And it was all about you always remember your best teacher and stuff like that. And it was a fantastic advertising campaign. I remember going over and I was sat there, you know, finished a meeting and just twiddling my thumbs. I was looking out to Boston Harbour and I was just on the internet, like I mentioned. I came across the very first Rivington Blackrod High School website.
Wow.
And lo and behold was Mr. Richmond's contact name.
Wow.
So I just sent him just a brief email just to thank him, you know, because, you know, he was fundamental to how I got where I was, kind of thing. And I sent it to him. And when he passed away a couple of years ago, his brother rang me up out of the blue and he'd found a printout of the email I sent to him and all his effects kind of thing, and he just felt, you know, that he'd ring him up because he'd spoken to Malcolm about this years previously, kind of thing. But yeah, I think you know, Mr. Alpin, you know, again, you know, because I went into the design industry, was a fantastic teacher, you know, always pushing you, kind of thing. The reality is I couldn't draw, but I was very creative. You know, so,
Okay, well, that works.
yeah, it does. Yeah, anyone can come up with a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you
in theory, in theory.
yeah, but yeah, Albert Street was, you know, a baptism of fire, wasn't it, kind of thing. And I remember, do you know, when we went back in the second year, I'm thinking, where is everything? And you sort of all disappeared, and we didn't know this. I think they only told you, oh, don't come to here, you're going up to Rivington.
Yeah.
So we turned up and like half my friends had disappeared. I'm thinking, have they been kidnapped? And then we eventually found out that he actually gone up to Rivington. And it was a big shock to a lot of us who were left behind, you know.
Well, they picked out the best.
Yeah,
then,
I believe so. Yeah.
I don't know how I sneaked through, but you know, I slipped through the crack if you want. But yeah, so the big school, what a historical building that place is.
Yeah, did you know it's one of the oldest schools in Great Britain?
I did not, but
yeah,
I can believe that.
Yeah. It's 15th century, 14th, wow. 15th century. Yeah, so that would make it, you know, well over 500 years old. And you know, the founders, Pilkington and so on. Funnily enough, Pilkington, as a founder of Rivington Blackrock High School, his family then went on to create Pilkington Glass, who then, a man who of the same name invented a glass. It's flat laid glass where they pour it flat, that allowed for big glass windows in high-rise office buildings and flats.
Is that right?
Yeah, because before then they could only do it a certain size. Because he invented this the process of flat laid glass.
Wow, interesting.
The Pilkington family and the Pilkington Glass firm. Yeah.
Do you remember the four houses? There was Lever, Pilkington, Rivington.
I was the yellow one. The cowards. Yeah. What was it? What was that? Was that Pilkington?
I don't know. I was red, and I was Lever, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was yellow, kind of thing, because we used to have inter-house sports days. Remember those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we used to have a Founders Day where we used to have things that we used to raise money for the school, and used to put stalls on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all the families used to come. And you mentioned a particular teacher, and they had to ban him for they banned him from ever being in charge of the alcohol tent, because before it even opened, he was found behind a couple of barrels, absolutely wasted at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. You remember him? Yeah, I can't remember his name, but people like Barry Allman, you know, just adored him, kind of thing. He was a great, you know, teacher type thing.
What did he teach? Do you remember?
It was art and pottery and stuff like that. But he did like a little bit of a typical kind of thing. You know?
Now, is this the guy that used to play Paranoid by Black Sabbath?
I'm not sure. I never had him as a teacher. I had Mr. Alpin throughout my school years there. But
wow.
Yeah, going back to, what's his name? Albert Street. I was mentioned to you about some of the teachers, you know, it was mad. And we had one, everyone remembers Percy, the science teacher.
Yeah.
I was telling you about, he was well past his sell-by date. He must have been about 100 then. And
yeah, that was back when we were 12. He was about 100.
I know. He was just, and even at the teacher, I found it later, the teachers had also said that he was well past his sell-by date. But one science class, he brought out this flask with a big rubber orange plug in it, round with a stem.
Yeah.
And he passed it around and he said, right, whatever you do, don't pull that plug out, or that bung, or whatever you called it. You don't tell 12-year-old kids not to pull something out.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Next thing, it was handed, to a couple of rogues. They know who they are. Anyway, they pulled it out. Next thing, there's a fire brigade in the ambulances there. Couple of students got carted off to Bolton Royal Infirmary because, lo and behold, in this little bung thing was mustard gas. Which school or science teacher has mustard gas in a little glass?
Right, and why would you give it to a 12-year-old?
Yeah, and hand it round, just like, look. I think he didn't last very much longer after that.
No,
I think that was a final nail in the coffin type thing. So luckily, everyone survived.
He used to. We had merit marks. If you did something well, they would give you merit marks, and at the end of it, if you got the most, your house would get a party or something. I don't even remember what they were for.
Yeah, I don't remember those. I mean,
you don't.
I mean, going back to the intersport ones. Oh, this is so embarrassing. We were doing the 100-meter race, and I won by a mile. Right, but I didn't stop. I continued running, and I ran all the way back to the changing rooms. As I was running, I had diarrhea. I just kept running up, straight into the changing room, because keeping in mind, we just used to wear white shorts.
Yeah.
And it was so embarrassing. I remember there was a sports teacher shouting, "Rotheram, where are you going?" I just wanted to get out to that.
You didn't answer?
No, I just ran off. I wasn't stopping to speak to him, kind of thing. Because keeping in mind, there was hundreds of people.
Yeah, and the girls' class.
And the girls, yeah. So, yeah. But
oh dear,
I absolutely loved being at Rivington. Some people had bad memories or whatever, indifferent. But I loved it because it was a fantastic social place.
Oh yeah.
I had so many friends and stuff like that,
Well, we were talking before we started shooting this, and some of the names you're bringing up, Kurt Walmsley. You remember Mike Hayworth, Daniel Monk?
Oh, Mike Hayworth. Do you remember what he used to do?
Maybe.
He used to flash his willy in class.
Did he?
Mike Hayworth, not Hayworth. There's a Mike Hayworth.
Hayworth, that's right. Mike Hayworth, blonde kid.
Yeah. He's still knocking around.
Is he?
I've not seen him since school. But I remember we were in physics, and there was a girl called Sue Otley, then Mike Hayworth in the middle, and me. And
redhead, right?
No, Sue Otley was blonde.
Oh, I'm thinking of Susan Hartley.
Yeah, Sue Hart.
Sue Hart?
Oh no, there's a Susan Hartley as well. Hartley. And he kept getting it out, kind of thing, and play. It's like fun to see. And I'm just, you're just thinking, oh, for God's sake, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then he took it out in do you remember EWTP? Engineering Workshop Theory and Practice. All we did was hammer metal all day.
Yeah.
And he pulled it out and put it on one of these big metal battering slams. And they're about 4 inches thick and round, about 14 inches wide. He put it out there, and I just went down with a big hammer. Again, as children, we don't understand consequence, do we?
Yeah.
A good job I was a poor shot, mate, because, that poor lad. Yeah, we had quite a lot of people who used to do a lot of strange things in school, didn't we?
I remember there was the sixth form building.
Yeah.
And up behind that there was the science pond. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it used to be called the biology pond.
Biology pond. That was
Yeah.
it.
Do you know that
I
used to
never
be a
saw it.
proper? Do you remember that? Well, that used to be a proper swimming pool.
Did he really?
Yeah, and then it became, you know, it just got overgrown, and there's tadpoles and stuff, and you know, put your hand up if you've been thrown in that.
I never saw it.
Oh God, yeah.
I I,
Well,
di- I never went back there.
yeah. The thing was, I had four older brothers, and those four older brothers had lots of friends, and those friends used to look at me and go, "Target." And they used
Yeah.
to all the stuff they used to, and particularly all the lads in our Tom's year. You know who you all are, horrible buggers they were. And when they were in the fifth year, we were in the third year. And when a year was leaving, they'll just, you know, it was customary to pick on the younger ones and make play with them and torture them. So I was either in the holly bush, you know, at least once a week. I went into the pond. I was stripped naked on the cricket ground.
No.
Yeah.
Right at the front of the school.
At the front of the school, yeah. Took my clothes everywhere. And I couldn't find a shoe. So
Oh dear.
I hobbled on with one shoe kind of thing, you know. And they were just horrible. You know, the thing is, they were, you know, I didn't feel, I wasn't being bullied. It was just, you know, they were just picking on me because I was Tommy Rotheram's brother kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And all these lads are all good friends of mine now kind of thing, and they're great lads. But it's what we do. I mean, I did it when we were in the fifth year. I did it to a lad. I chucked him in a bin and broke his fingers. You know? I only found that out a couple of years ago. You know,
he came to you and told you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah.
Is his hand all gnarly?
Yeah, you chucked me in a bin, kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't recall breaking his fingers, but you know. But I think, as I remember, it was one of those big steel bins, and they're about 5 feet high with wheels. You know. Because I was thinking, because he's a big bloke, I'm thinking, how did I get him in a small bin? He said,
well, he was smaller then, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was extraordinary times kind of thing, you know, just, yeah, everyone loves school kind of thing. But, you know.
I was talking to David Hobson about it, and we were remembering the ice cream truck, Frank's. Remember that?
Do you remember what it was called?
Frank's.
No. It was called Mr. Whippy.
Mr. Whippy.
Mr. Whippy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say allegedly here, you know, when I moved to London, I remember I was a couple of friends, and I remember walking through Piccadilly Circus, and there's a big newsstand. And there's the News of the World, a big, horrible English red top kind of thing. And on the front page is this story about men who were engaging in self-mutilation.
Okay.
Part of the sexual thing. And there was a headline, it says, "Men from Horwich."
What?
Yeah. Anyway, it was this particular individual, and you know, he had a dungeon in his house, and he used to invite men, and they used to practice all kinds of really kind of dodgy stuff on each other. You know, I think they were all gay. That's not saying gay people, you know, it was just this particularly had a slant for that kind of curiosity of, you know, pain and sex, you know. And they were the first people in the country to be charged with an offence where the action that they'd actually taken was consensual. And it was, I can't remember what the offence was, but it was the first time that people who had actually mutilated each other were charged with an offence, you know, even though it was consensual. And
wow.
He was allegedly,
yeah,
quite clearly,
yeah,
but with a small a. The guy who was at the centre of that also owned the ice cream van, Mr. Whippy.
But it wasn't the guy that was at the school, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like, and we used to all congregate round there, didn't we? You know.
Well, I was saying to Dave, I was saying that thing had never would have had two wheel or more than two wheels on the ground once the kids came out, because everybody used to get their shoulders in and lean right into it, right?
Oh, it was used to be packed, didn't it? And it's like I think they eventually banned him from the school premise. Not him, but eventually just got rid of it because obviously people were spending the dinner money on sweets rather than a cooked meal kind of thing. I mean, coming from a poor family, I spent from the first year to the fifth year, my lunch was onion and cheese butties.
You didn't get dinner tickets?
No, my mum wouldn't act. Mum was too proud.
Really?
Yeah, so we just had cheese and onion sandwiches or butties.
Wow.
And the funny thing is now, I used to hate them at school. I actually quite like them now. I love onion. I have onion with everything. Yeah.
Wow.
But Mr. Whippy, yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. A bit of
and
side story to him.
Kind of coincidental that, the bondage and stuff, Whippy, just, I guess he could have called himself Mr. Cheney.
Yeah, was it play on words? I don't know, kind of thing. But
you never know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and we're talking about this, Porteous.
Say that, Mr. Porteous. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he was a great teacher, but he was very hard and very firm. And he set the tone for the other sports teachers to follow.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you remember that when we used to go on cross-country runs, anyone at the back would betide you because whichever sports teacher was running, taking up the rear, he used to pull off a piece of willow branch and whip them.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine doing that in this day and age, sports teacher whipping children kind of thing. It's just like, but I remember, I won't mention the names, but I can see them who were always at the back kind of thing. And then you used to see his little chubby legs running fast. It was so funny.
Oh, dear.
And some of us just used to hold back and just to watch it happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Mr. Porteous, he didn't take any prisoners. If you messed around, he'd grab you. And I remember once there was one lad who'd been expelled from school, kept coming back and sitting on the fence and calling Porteous and stuff. And Porteous walked over to him and knocked him out. It's it kind of thing. And this lad must have only been about 16.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But I remember Porteous going over and punching him.
Yeah.
We used to have we used to have a math teacher, and they called him the Bolton Bullfrog. Do you remember him?
Isn't that the same one who became an actor?
I don't know. They said he was a wrestler. He was an older guy.
Oh no, there's a guy called the Bolton Bullfrog who was, I think he's passed away, but he was an actor who's in things like Last of the Summer Wine and stuff like that. If you needed some of a broad Bolton accent comedy.
No, I remember Last of the Summer Wine. That was a great show.
Yeah.
No, but he was our math teacher, and at the end of the year, we took it. He drove a Mini, was it a Mini? Yeah, it was a Mini, and we took his car and put it in the gym.
I don't. Would you remind this as well? The location of Rimson Blackrod is actually on the foothills of the West Pennine Moors,
right?
Literally, and the sheep everywhere. And one particular year, there was a couple of us. I think there was loads of people just involved in it. There was sheep in the grounds, so we collected the sheep and brought them into the main school.
Oh dear!
And there was all these sheep. Do you not remember in the main parts? And there was all these sheep running up and down the main hallway, and then a couple of them ran, the staircase in the middle.
Yeah.
A couple of them ran up there, kind of thing. And there's all these sheep running amok, and all these sheep who. You don't get that enough. I mean, a city school, do you?
No. You didn't get that at St. Catherine's. Or
No,
sorry, at St. Joseph's, the Catholic school.
no, no. But you know what they say about Catholic girls.
No, but we're not going in that direction either.
Yeah.
Off camera, well, at the beginning of it, we talked about race or religion and politics. We're done with that for a little while. Let's take a break from that. So, you remember there was Mr. Neller? He was a science teacher.
Yeah, I remember the name kind of thing. So,
and he had another guy that was his friend. At least they hung out at school. I think it was Mr. Williams. And he used to have the big bushy red beard. And he looked like David Bellamy.
No, he was Mr. Crabtree, wasn't he?
No, absolutely. No, he wasn't Crabtree. I might be wrong on the Williams part, but
yeah.
Because I remember I used to do this impression. I'm Mr. Williams, and
yeah.
I'm going to be rappelling around in the undergrowth.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah. Because they brought in a couple of younger ones, and I remember there was one science teacher who ended up, when we went into the sixth, did you go into the sixth form?
No, I was out.
I was out for a year and hated it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. And, but there was, I remember there was a couple of younger science teachers, and one of them, she was in the, I'm trying to think who it was, ended up having an affair with him, and then they got married, one of the science teachers.
With Mr. Williams?
Chemistry teacher, eh?
With Mr. Williams?
No, he was a lot younger science teacher, because, I mean, keeping in mind, some of the younger teachers there were probably only, if we were in the fifth year, they were probably only about 6 or 7 years older than us. I mean, Mrs. Birchby, who was my form teacher when I first went up to the top school, I think she was only 23.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was stunning. I had a big crush on her until a fellow classmate, when she opened the door, because our class was in the home economics classroom. We're all pushing through and stuff like that. She was in front, and David, one of my classmates, put his hand past me and grabbed her bum. And she turned around and saw me. That was it. Detention for 3 days with her. And I thought it was fantastic, because I was with Mrs. Birch, who was really, as we used to say back then, fit.
I remember the name, but I don't remember at all what she looked like.
Yeah, she got married as well in the year, because she had a name change, obviously, because she got married. Kind of thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I do.
She was a lovely, lovely teacher. Someone's told me that she was still working somewhere. She was, about to retire, kind of thing. So.
And she was asking about you.
No. Well, to be honest, she's only like 7 years. He might well be the oldest lady I've ever dated. But,
I know.
Yeah. Well, as a third year, I did actually date a fifth year, which was unheard of.
Did you really?
Yeah, third year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I was in the third year, because lads usually dated girls younger, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's very rarely for a lad to actually date, never mind being in the third year and dating, but her friends told her that she had to finish with me because I was too young, kind of thing, which she did. But then she had a change of heart, but I went, no, you had your chance.
You don't get to go on.
She was just a lovely, gentle, kind person as a girl. So.
Do you remember her name?
Yes, I do, yeah. Karen Wood.
Carol Wood. I know that name.
Karen Wood.
Karen Wood, oh.
Karen Wood, yeah.
Karen Wood. I don't remember her.
Yeah, she was in the fifth year, and, I knew a lot of the fifth years because my brother was in that year. Same with the fourth years, because one of my brothers was in that year. So you sort of got to know them. Otherwise, if you didn't have any connection, you didn't actually get to know them, type thing. But
yeah,
I just remember thinking how beautiful she was. So
she's still around.
Do you remember your first ever girlfriend?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It was Debbie Chesham.
Debbie Chesham. Oh, she was beautiful, wasn't she?
She was a pretty girl.
Short blonde hair.
Yeah, She was into skiing. She used to go on ski trips all the
Yeah,
time. She was
yeah.
friends with, oh boy, Debbie Taylor and,
Ellen Holt.
and Karen something. I can't remember Karen's last name. But
Yeah,
we all used to ride in on the 575 together.
yeah, because she lived over Claypool way or something like that, didn't she?
Debbie Chesham?
Kesson, yeah.
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 Yeah, she was. I always used to think she was really posh.
She was. She was.
Yeah.
Her dad was a great guy. He reminded me actually a lot of Mr. Richmond.
Yeah.
But when I say girlfriend, it was kind of, it was first girlfriend, so there wasn't a lot of going on there. It was.
Yeah. Well, my first girlfriend, I asked my friend to ask her out, and then I never spoke to her, and then we split up. And that was Elaine Prince. Do you remember her?
Well, you know what? It's funny you should mention her because she's on Facebook, as you know, right?
That's St. Catherine's, yeah.
Yeah, she was. She's always been a knockout. She's always been a good-looking woman, and well, even when she was a good-looking girl, I guess. But I recently, how to explain this? I connected with her on Facebook to talk to her. This was a number of years ago, albeit when I say recent. And it turns out, like, I had a big crush on her in high school. I thought she was a knockout, like gorgeous.
Oh, she was proper cute.
Yeah, adorable.
Yeah.
And turns out she'd been living. She moved to Canada and became a nanny.
Yeah,
and she lived about 20 minutes from me.
No way.
Yeah. And I didn't even know it. And I was like, oh, man, if I'd have known.
Yeah, well, we dated in at St. Catherine's, and as kids.
Yeah.
Didn't even speak to one another.
Yeah.
She was my girlfriend, but I never spoke to her, kind of thing. Then we tried it again in the first year. That was... I'm not very good with... Well, I wasn't very good with girls, and I was incredibly shy and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
So again, we dated, but we hardly spoke. I don't think we spoke then, kind of thing. So the thing is, girls scared me, because they were just scary. I think girls at that age.
They were yucky.
Yeah. And then I met the formidable Helen Holt, who was in my form and still great friends to this day. And she's she was just funny, and the thing is like I was from the wrong side of the tracks, kind of thing, and her dad used to drop her off in the Rolls Royce, because they were quite posh, kind of thing.
Well, having a Rolls Royce.
Ellen was so down to earth; it was unbelievable, But yeah, she used to scare me, Helen. So, she knows why, kind of thing.
I'll have to get her on and do a chat with her.
Yeah. She's lovely. I mean, we're in the sixth form together, and the funny thing is, I left, she got thrown out, kind of thing. But she did, like me, we did okay for ourselves. She went into education, and she's a teacher, and now she's a headmistress in a special school and stuff like that. So
very cool. Thanks for watching so far. Craig's an absolute character, isn't he? Anyway, the rest of this is coming up in a second part, and believe it or not, there's a third part to follow that. Keep watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this video with all your friends. Let everybody see Craig and the wonders that make up this fine young man.